leaning over but still accessible. This was the brief period yesterday when there was the best chance of a mass rescue. But everything went wrong incredibly rapidly, and already the focus is shifting to how a ship that was only 20 years old could have got into this disastrous position. This should have been a routine journey from Incheon to the island of Jeju. The ferry does it twice a week, but yesterday morning, disaster struck. One theory is that the ship hit a rock. Another is that for some reason the vessel made a sudden turn. We don't know why, but this is emerging as a plausible idea, because a very sharp turn would have shifted the 1,000 tons of cargo and nearly 200 cars that were inside. That would explain why the ferry started listing or leaning to one side. It was soon tilting at more than 5 degrees, a critical threshold because that's a point of no return. And 2 hours later, the ship had capsized. And experts are amazed at how rapidly this happened.
I don't think it was obvious it was going down to start with. For the first hour and a half, perhaps, they thought, oh, it's stabilised, it's going to be a safe refuge. But they must have realised that water was flooding in through various openings high up in the structure, and once that starts, there's nothing that's going to stop it.
This leaves a series of unanswered questions which will be raised by investigators and by the families of those who died. First, why was the evacuation so slow? The passengers were ordered to stay in place for an hour, probably to avoid making the listing of the ship any worse, but that left far too little time to get people off. Then, why were only 2 lifeboats launched? The ship had 46. Presumably the crew didn't realise how serious things were, or how quickly the ship would sink. And finally, why did the captain leave when he did? It's traditional for a captain to do everything to help others, and then to be the last to abandon ship. As the search for survivors continues, officials have said they'll investigate everything from whether the crew were negligent to whether there was a fault with the ship itself. At a time when safety standards at sea are generally rising, there'll be interest around the world in working out exactly what went wrong. Shukman, BBC News.